Back here, first things first. Back to our top story now. Drew Brees calling it quits after 20 remarkable NFL seasons. So where do the Saints go from here? What are we going to do? Well, Fox Bet Sportsbook has Jameis Winston now as the favorite at plus 100 to start for the Saints week 1, followed by Taysom Hill, plus 150. We'll talk about his new contract in a sec. Then it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, a long shot, your guy, Brandon, in third at plus 1,500.
Let's go, Fitzy.
Running back Brian Westbrook is with us. Brian, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us this morning. All right, Brian, where do the Saints go from here after Drew Brees' retirement?
Well, good morning, Jenna. But first of all, I got to say, congrats to Drew Brees. Obviously a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame type of career, but he's lived his life, and it's been clear to me that he's lived his life by a quote that I hold near and dear to my heart. And it goes kind of like this: it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And it's obvious that Drew Brees lives that way because truly, in our profession, there's barriers to entry. Usually it's a size thing, and at the quarterback position, it is a size thing. Usually you're 6'3" or taller, 230 pounds or more, and you have a strong arm. Drew Brees is none of those things. He's not 6'3" or taller, obviously. He doesn't weigh that much, and he doesn't have a strong arm, but he's been able to achieve to a different level than almost any other quarterback that we've ever seen. And it really is all about his dedication, his hard work, and because he's a student of the game. So I have to give him props. And one of the things that I love probably the most about Drew Brees is that a couple years when he broke one of the many records that he's broken, went to the sideline, called his kids over, and he said something, and I'm watching the game with my kids, but he said something that to his kids that I've said to my kids so many times. And it kind of goes like this. He said, I told you guys you can do anything as long as you work hard for it. And when I heard that, I almost broke down in tears because that's something I preach to my kids over and over and over. And Drew said it on TV. I think it was a Monday night. It was just beautiful. So congrats to Drew Brees as a player and what he's been able to do as a father as well over the course of his career. It's been pretty amazing to watch. But when we move to the quarterback position of the New Orleans Saints, to me, it just makes sense that they're going to give Taysom Hill the first crack at it. I mean, he provides a lot of different things for that offense. I mean, he allows them to be multiple, whether it be run or a pass with the quarterback position. He keeps a defense on their heels. And importantly, he allows Sean Payton as a coach and an offensive coordinator to trust the guy with the ball in his hand. When you look at some of the most important moments of the last couple of seasons for the New Orleans Saints, Taysom Hill has had the ball in his hands, and you need that type of position. You need that type of guy that you can trust with the ball in his hands at the most critical times of the games. And so that's why I think they're going to go with Taysom Hill. Now, in order for that to work, they're going to have a very good defense. And when you look at their defense over the second half of the season last year, they were the best scoring defense in the league. And really, over the whole course of the season, they were the 5th best scoring defense in the league. If you have that type of defense, Brandon, then at that point, you can afford to have Taysom Hill as your quarterback. But if your defense doesn't play up to that level, now you're going to have a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick or Jameis Winston to throw the ball all over the place to put up points. But I think you're going to start with with Taysom Hill at the quarterback position and then go from there.
Right. Okay. So basically, like everybody always say, follow the money, right? B, 4-year extension, $140 million to Taysom Hill. Though it could have been a good answer if those years wasn't voidable. Like, man, they ain't going with no Taysom Hill. They're going with Jameis Winston. Cam Jordan came out and said it. What Cam say after the year, I think it was February 25th, he did an interview. He said, well, what Coach Payton told me was that Jameis is next up. So I'm going to believe what is coming out of that building. And what did Coach say? This is Coach Payton. He said this. We had a year with him talking about Jameis Winston. He was fantastic as a leader. He's got tremendous arm talent. He's a young prospect that we like a lot. Jameis Winston is your guy. The last time we saw Jameis Winston, 2019, behind center as the guy, he threw for 5,100 yards. We're talking about lights out, 33 touchdowns. But the problem was the 30 interceptions. Yeah. And I have to believe after a year of sitting behind Coach Payton and seeing Drew Brees that he's going to fix those things. Now, I don't know if it was the LASIK thing that we keep talking about, Nick, or if it's just, you know what, stop being so aggressive because you have a defense with the defense that Brian was just talking about. Just go through your offense and go exactly where you're supposed to go. Cover one. Here's your one beater. You go high, low. If he's there, throw it to him. If he's not, go to your check down. It's that simple. You just saw Drew Brees do it at a high level for an entire year pretty much.
So this morning, when I was thinking about this question, one thing just kept kind of pounding on the door to me, which is Jameis is not under contract. And the Saints have no money. But then Diana Rossini of ESPN tweeted out 30 minutes ago, it's no secret in New Orleans they like Jameis and want to bring him back. The two sides are working on a deal, getting a deal done per sources. This would not mean Winston's the starter. It was explained to me there'd be quarterback competition at camp. To me, Jameis Winston is going to either choose money, which I think he can get more money in a place like Washington, a place such as Chicago, and be the starter, or if he thinks I can have the best chance of succeeding with Sean Payton and Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and take less money to go to New Orleans. But here's the dirty secret about the future of the Saints, Wilds.
Oh, let's hear it.
It's bleak, and we all know it. We can't for the last 4 years say on television, the Saints are all in on this season. They're all in on this season. They're pushing their chips in the middle of the table. Guess what happens when you're all in and you don't win? You're broke. It's over. You go either you rebuy more money or you leave the table. The Saints, we've all said, we're all in on the end of the Drew Brees era. It's now over. So whether they have cosplaying Taysom Hill at quarterback or Jameis at quarterback, we need to recognize that the Saints' contenders ended last postseason. Maybe Jameis comes back on a discount. Either way, this team has a way better shot of finishing last in the NFC South than they do of finishing first in the NFC South. They're in cap hell, and we've known this was coming.
Yeah, the weird thing about the Saints is they're 8-1 the last 2 years when Drew Brees doesn't play. So when we're talking about, hey, should it be Taysom? Should it be Jameis? Brian, how about I posit this? What if we go with C, all of the above? Maybe you get a little Jameis. Maybe you get a little Taysom. Taysom's already unconventional. It's hard to plan for. But he's hard to plan for because he was a switch. I don't know if he's that hard to plan for if he's your traditional starter. And we talk about the league's always evolving. The league is always changing. Well, all right, well, what's the next evolution? We're not at the final step. Right now it's, well, throw the ball more, throw the ball more, throw the ball more. Someone's going to have to break the trend. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be run the ball more. So maybe Sean Payton is just mad enough genius, says, you know what? I'm going to be the first person to make this platoon work. We've seen it like trickling up. We had a little Wildcat. We got a little Jameis. We got Brian Flores. Like, hey, it's Tua and Fitzmagic. We got Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett. Is there a chance, or do you like, I should say that. I'll say, is there a chance? Do you like the idea of a successful platoon?
Kevin, I absolutely hate that idea. One of the worst ideas and listen, I think you have a lot of great ideas. One of the worst ideas I've ever heard you come up with, because the platoon system at the quarterback spot doesn't work. You have to have a guy that has a great feel for the game. You have to have a guy that you trust. And the old saying is absolutely true. If you have two quarterbacks, you actually don't even have one. You got to have one guy to go with. And here's the argument for Jameis Winston. Your offense is much better with Taysom Hill being this specialist guy, a guy that can come in and do a lot of the gadget plays, that can come in and keep the defense off balance that way, not being your starter. That's the case for Jameis Winston, a guy that can throw the ball all over the field and make all the throws that Sean Payton could possibly want.
Look, I was only there for a month, but I was up there. I had a front row seat to it. Taysom Hill's not that guy. He is exactly where he needs to be. He's a gadget guy. Now, I didn't play with Jameis, and I'm saying this as a old retired wide receiver, that Jameis, that's the guy I would rather go with. I would also say this. If Jameis Winston, I'm looking at 2019 stats, 5,100 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. If we can get those interceptions down to 10 and below, they're going to be a contender. 100. Yeah, it's possible. Yes, it's possible.
Yeah, if he has
I'm saying this
5,000
right
yards
now.
and 30 touchdowns with 10 picks,
Nick,
he's a great player. That's a big improvement, Brandon.
The team that he just came off of went to the Super Bowl 2 and won it.
But we got to understand this. We got to understand this. Coaching. We got to talk about wide receiver personnel. All of that comes into account. He sat behind Sean Payton and Drew Brees for an entire year. If he is who he should be and elevates his game this year, that's their division. I'm sorry, Tom Brady. I'm sorry, Shaq Barrett, if we can get you back. I'm sorry, Levante Davis. Like, no, this team with that defense and Sean Payton as the head coach, oh, my goodness. That's all I got to say.
Well, let's see what he can do with that new LASIK surgery. He can finally see. Put him out there for a season. Hey, you know who won't be playing quarterback for the Saints next year? Russell Wilson, at least not if the Seahawks have something to say about it. Looks like they're coming around to the idea of giving Russ what he wants. So maybe he